What's good, America? It's your man, Reggie Fleurima, a.k.a. Big Flo, coming to you with another episode of the Big Flo Show. Today is a very special episode for me. The guest that I have, you'll see in a minute why I'm so excited about it. Probably first time I can say that I have a guest that I created from scratch. So this guy is a high school junior, recently had a commitment to a university. He's one of the top receivers in the state of Illinois and in the country. He is none other than my son, Reggie Fleurima Jr. What's up, Reg?
What's up?
No, I know this is weird, man. You've seen me do the show a couple of times, but I bring guys on, I bring on athletes, but I think you've earned it now. You got your weight up a little bit and it's ready to do the show. And I think a lot of people want to hear what you got to say, man. So first of all, congratulations on the big decision. You got me wearing another college's logo. I've never done that before, but congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. We're gonna work our way towards that decision, but we start off, as everybody can see by our names. Actually, he's Reggie Fleurima Jr., Big Flo, like people call him Little Big Flo, whatever you want to call him, Little Reg. Here's where we're gonna go. Let's talk about from the beginning, man. A lot of people want to know about this journey, man. So we started you out in sports pretty young age and had you doing a lot of sports. Talked about your early days playing sports. I think you were up to 5 sports at one time. Talk about what it was like to juggle all those sports.
Yeah, so started football in kindergarten as an old lineman right across the street at Benedictine. You used to bite me to the stadium in my pads, but then third grade it was football, basketball, soccer, wrestling, and baseball. So obviously we decided I could only choose 2, and that had to be football and basketball. And it was kind of crazy, going from 3 innings of baseball to a basketball game and then back to baseball, and then having basketball practice and then wrestling practice after. So that was crazy, but it definitely obviously got me in great shape. So now it's easier for me now.
Right. So, I probably didn't ask you much this at the time, but did you miss those sports and you dropped them, or were you happy that we pulled you out of those sports?
I don't miss wrestling at all, because I don't think that was my sport, especially with the dieting and stuff. Basketball is probably one of the only ones that I missed that I don't play now. Besides that, I really wouldn't have seen myself playing any of the other sports, especially like soccer. I just don't see myself playing a sport like that. So I think I chose the right one.
You chose the right one. So, luckily, we started you out by accident with the really good football team, the Naperville Patriots. When you're on Naperville Patriots, you're around a lot of really good athletes. Talk to me about some of the people that you've played with and some of the coaches that you've played for and kind of how they helped form you. Start with the players.
Oh, yeah. So players, obviously, Tyler and Caden. Also, like Sean Larkin, CJ Buffkin, all those guys when they were smacking me when I was younger than them. That obviously helped build me. But obviously playing with like Tyler and Caden is great. Obviously, they're still my best friends to this day. And just playing with that high level of competition, just knowing like who some of the other great athletes are in the state and in the country, I think that's a big thing. And you see what they've done, and then you've known what they've been for all the time when you play with them. So I just feel like playing with that high of competition, and especially when they're on your team, just shows a lot and it helps you. So,
and I'll say for some of the people that don't know, when he was a third grader, I think it was third grade, we had myself as a head coach. We had Tikas Pettigrew, who played football and basketball at Penn State on the staff. We had Kevin Casper, who played 9 years in the NFL for various teams and was the all-time leading receiver for Iowa on the staff. Who else? Jabbar Robinson, who was a Buckus finalist in high school or at University of Indiana on the staff. I don't know how many third grade staffs really have that kind of group and that kind of crew going together. So talk about running around. I know it was you, Tyler, Caden, Kyler Morris, or Kyler Casper. Talk about, play dates at Casper's house and what those entail. So those don't realize Kyler Casper's dad, Kevin, ran a company called Extreme Speed, and I would drop him off over there. So tell them a little bit about how that used to work.
Well, yeah, usually back in the day when we were kids and had unlimited energy, we would go to Extreme Speed and get yelled at by Mr. Casper for an hour and have him debating one workout ever again there. But I mean, I always remember going to school and knowing I had extreme speed after school and literally had butterflies in my stomach because I knew it was going to suck and I hated it. But obviously it pays off now. But referring to play dates, I remember we'd always go work out and then especially in third grade when I was trying to make weight, we would always go to Burger King. And
Yeah.
I would always have to get the chicken sandwich, which was probably the last thing I wanted back then. And Coach Casper wouldn't let me eat heavy because he didn't want me to go overweight. But then we'd literally go to Kyler's house and play trampoline basketball for like 2 hours or go play one-on-one in the driveway. So, I mean, we always had a crazy amount of energy, and that's always how it was with them, especially with the Caspers.
Mm-hmm. So again, those are guys who don't realize, of the four people he named, 4-star and 3-star athletes nationally, everyone has D1 offers and D1 recruits. These are guys that you had to play with on the, full contact trampoline, go out there and train like, Kevin Casper's training NFL athletes and then training these third graders. And then they would go to the park and throw routes and do whatever. So growing up, I think that kind of helped form you and do that. So, we talked about multiple sports before. How do you carry, some of the skill sets from like basketball over to the football field, and how did that help you?
I just feel like footwork and overall fundamentals and having a variety of athleticism when it comes to multiple sports, I feel like that helps. And even though I don't play now, I still can tell that there's things that I can work on that translate from basketball to football. So I feel like that's the main thing. And obviously, like when I did track in middle school, that also was a big thing for like top end speed. And I feel like once I started that, when I played football, I felt like I got faster and more explosive. So I think there's definitely a lot of translating when it comes to that. And also like for basketball, like when it comes to like a jump ball for football, like going up to get a rebound, it's like pretty similar. So I feel like that's also another thing that
No doubt. Now, you were lucky with your basketball team. We were Division II, third grade national champs. For football, we were eighth grade Division I football national champs. Talk about the success and being part of really successful teams as a youth, and how you think that kind of helped form the kind of player you turned out to be.
Well, I mean, I think it shows how everyone's turned out. I mean, obviously Trey, Tyler, Caden, Max, you can keep going down the list, Tyson. I mean, I feel like we've all those experiences from when we were younger and all the adversity that not many third graders faced, especially in third grade, had to face. I feel like that just showed and built up our character. And then obviously eighth grade, that was just adding on to all the adversity we had to go through when we were younger. So I just feel like those lessons we learned back then have helped us and build us become stronger men that we are now.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And again, we can't quantify all this in an interview, but the names that he's talking about, Tyson Amumensa was on the national championship soccer team as a freshman in Naperville North. Max Reese has multiple Power 5 offers as a receiver at Fenwick. And the names go on and on and on. Anyone we forget to list, there's so many names out there that, it's kind of hard. It's like the who's who. So you transfer from going national championship, eighth grade, best team in the country, and then you're able to move into the high school and you're able to play varsity as a freshman. Talk about the experience of transitioning from being a huge kid as an eighth grader to now being a young kid on the football field.
Well, I'd say back when I was in kindergarten and playing second and third graders, that was one thing, because you're actually like, everyone's little, but you're still smaller. But I feel like high school, like it really showed that like that's when you become a man. And I feel like a lot of seniors I played against, especially my friend Bo Richter, like he was real grown. So, practice, like when people were hitting you, like realize like this is like the big leagues. And now that I've grown now, I can kind of see like obviously it's not that bad. And I've built myself bigger, and I'm bigger than most of the kids that we play now. So obviously playing varsity as a freshman and as a sophomore really helped me. And now I have great experience at the varsity level, and I know what to expect physically and mentally on the field.
Mm-hmm. Now, how is it different from a mental preparation standpoint when, we go into the games as Patriots, we go into the games, Illinois Speed was our basketball team, for those that don't know. We're pretty much expected to win, right? And now you come out and you're playing Friday nights in front of thousands of people. And let's be honest, freshman year, sophomore year, we didn't have great seasons. How was that transition for you mentally to going out there knowing it's going to be a bigger hill to climb than it was when you're in your youth sports?
Well, I think a lot more goes into it. I mean, I didn't watch an ounce of film for when it came to like middle school. I mean, obviously not for football, at least I could think until like eighth grade nationals. But I mean, basketball we watched a little bit, but not like we do now, and we break down coverages and stuff like that. And I feel like I mean, it's mandatory to watch film. We have film before practice now. So like, it's like one step closer. And I obviously know college is going to be even more heavy on film. So I feel like that was one thing. And I don't know. I just feel like adjusting was pretty tough, obviously playing for a great team, but like I said, that was just adversity that I had to face. And I feel like it's built me to become stronger. And like, obviously now junior year, I'm finally starting off on a team that's 2-0. And I feel like the main thing is that with that is just having the best leadership, freshman and sophomore year, especially freshman year, I was kind of the baby of the team. So, I kind of felt weird trying to be a leader. Sophomore year, obviously I transferred, so I'm a new face. So it's still kind of weird trying to be a leader, even though I had experience on varsity. This year, 3-year varsity starter, 2-year varsity starter at Central. Now I have great experience. I'm helping the other guys in my grade who are on the sophomore team and helping lift them up and keep their heads up, and because they're going through the same stuff I had to go through 2 years ago and last year. So I know exactly what they're feeling when it comes to the physicality level and the mental level and just the overall football practices. Like I know last year some of those juniors didn't have to practice. I mean, I see it this year before their practices aren't as intense as ours, and like the guys aren't as amped up when it comes to like live teams. So I feel like I've just been able to help them a lot, and I'm just experiencing that category.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did have some good success on the field, as a freshman, and at the end of the freshman year, we made some moves, but at the end of the freshman year, you were able to get an offer, your first offer. First of all, let's talk about what that felt like getting your first offer as a freshman.
I mean, I think we could both say we were both excited. I was in shock. I had no idea. Virginia Tech came, watched me, Sam, Keon. I believe Peyton was there. I believe Burr was there too. They were just there just to throw. I believe it was just kind of crazy, like he literally said it to me, and Coach Cliff is next to me, and he said it, and I was just like in awe. I didn't really know what to say. Like I was just like, thank you. Like that was the last thing I expected to happen on that morning. So I think it was crazy, but obviously it felt great, and it was really reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was just, like I said, I was just kind of in awe, like that just really happened. Like I didn't think it would happen that soon. I had a feeling eventually down my high school career I was going to get offers. I just didn't think it would be at that place in that time. So.
Well, again, that's a dream that, you and I obviously discussed since you were, too little to probably remember, and then it comes true. How does that change things for you when you find out, hey, this is real and this is something that's actually going to happen? How does it change the way you approach the game and the way you approach your training?
I think it honestly, my lessons I learned from it is that it really matured me. Now I realize, like, as much as this is a game of high school, like it's going to become a business when you get to college. So I have to practice certain strategies and habits that I have to bring with me to college in order to be successful. So I know that I have to work harder than everyone on the field because I'm going to have to play at a D1 level where everyone works hard. So I just know that offer just kind of made me realize, like, now it's getting real and it's not just like a little kid game anymore.
Mm-hmm. Have you been able to maintain a level of having fun through all this seriousness that you're doing, or do you feel like it's all business at this point?
It's fun when you win. When
Mm-hmm.
you lose it, it's not fun, obviously. But I mean, it's a mixture of both. Obviously, getting the job done in the field, doing your job, and your teammates having to do their jobs, and everyone coming together as a group. That's the business part, and then the obviously having fun part is going out and executing and winning games. So it's a mixture of both.
So now you got all eyes on you. People are watching you. Every game they're going to say which one is this kid that's supposed to be having all his offers. How do you deal with the pressure going into these games Friday night and knowing that people are watching you and expecting things out of you? How do you keep that pressure in check?
As I matured, I mean, last year, sophomore year, I had to go through it, and this year is no different. Obviously, I'm committed now, but I just think you have to go out and have fun. I think that's the main thing. Don't worry about any of the outside noise and just go out and have fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a 17-year-old kid just trying to enjoy the rest of high school. So I mean, I just go out and have fun. I don't really listen to the outside stuff, and I just try to have fun and not make a big deal of all the pressure outside of football, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk to your friends that are also being recruited again, this show is about you. But when I was coming out, there wasn't as many guys that we knew that got recruited. Then my senior year, there was a bunch of kids at the end that we started to get recruited, but we didn't have the social media. We didn't have the youth sports where we meet all those other people. How does that change your conversations when you're talking to other kids about, your future in the different colleges and that type of stuff? Is it something you talk about all the time with those guys, or do you guys still talk about the girl that you think is cute and video games and stuff like that?
No, I feel like we talk about, probably both, but a lot football, especially when I'm around Tyler and Caden. We've been recruited by, Tyler's also been recruited by Northwestern. Caden's talked to him. So I've talked to Sam, Peyton. So I know so many guys who've been recruited, we just talk about like how the process is and all that stuff and just what to look out for. But it's also just fun, like telling each other fun stories about cool coaches, bad coaches, and certain programs and what goes on in certain programs. So I think overall there's been a lot more recruiting talk ever since I got my first offer.
So now we're going through this process and a big thing happens. Never before happened in my lifetime. When you tell your kids about this, they're not going to even understand we talk about COVID. How has COVID impacted your high school career, and how's it impacted your recruiting and how you feel about things?
Well, it sucked. Obviously, fall was a very hard time for me not being able to play. It felt unnatural going to school in the fall and not going to school, being online and stuck on my computer and not having anything to practice for. We had fall practice for probably a month, 2 months and a half. Well, and on top of the summer camp, we had no idea if there was going to be a season. So I think it took a huge toll on me and a lot of the other seniors, or a lot of the seniors and some of the other juniors. But obviously, recruiting wise, it sucked. I couldn't take any visits, and unfortunately, I didn't take advantage of going to any game day visits last year, so I didn't get to see a lot of college atmospheres because obviously growing up, I saw Notre Dame all the time. And then besides that, we didn't really go to any games. So I think that was my biggest regret when it comes to recruiting. But no one could have guessed that this was going to happen in our world. So I can't really beat myself up too much because I assumed I just have junior year to go look at stuff. But recruiting wise, a few pros I take is I built great relationships with certain coaches. Obviously, I was on Zoom calls all the time and having great conversations with coaches that I will probably still talk to in the near future. Obviously Northwestern, great relationship with them. I built a great relationship with Missouri and a few other schools. So I feel like that's a pro that I take out of it, the relationship aspect. And obviously there's some schools I still wanted offers to, but at the end of the day, I'm satisfied with the decision I had, and I'm just going with the flow at this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, we thought about at one point we thought about leaving and trying to find different, with COVID, trying to find some different football somewhere. And I know you said that you wanted to stay to play with your team. So, kind of what kind of went into your decision of wanting to stay and take the chance of not having a junior season and trying to play with your guys?
Mainly probably because I was I assumed I'd be a captain, and I just feel like it'd be a bad look if I was to leave my team and my group of guys, especially because I played with most of those guys on junior Huskies in middle school. So it's like, I don't want to leave those guys and then risk the chance of missing a whole season with them, and then especially with Sam graduating early, that'd be a lot of missing pieces to last year's team. So the experience level could have potentially been lower if I left early. And obviously it would have been a great experience, but at the end of the day, I wanted to play with my guys and win games with them.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about the decision, man. So, you had 14 offers. Obviously other people talking about watching the season and going, but you decided to pull the trigger. So what went into your decision? What were the factors that you thought about?
I was just ready. Honestly, Northwestern gives the best of both worlds. Academically, top 10 in football this year, top 10 coach in the country, in my opinion, and top 10 coaching staff in the country, and how they look out for you guys when it comes to recruiting. They text me. I get a text from at least either Coach Springer, Coach Fitz, or the recruiting coordinators at least once or twice a week. So they definitely look out for you, and they offer maybe they have 50, 52 offers in my class so far throughout the whole country. And there's some schools out there with 300 offers.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that shows that I'm one of 50-something guys in the whole country, and there's a lot of football players in the country. So that means that you can't tell me you're not a priority if you're one of 50 guys, So that just means a lot. And obviously they set you up for life when it comes to job opportunities. So obviously if I do make the NFL, I'll have obviously football ends someday, and I'll have something to fall back on when it comes to a job. And if I don't make the NFL, I'll still know that I'm in a great place that can give me good job opportunity. So, I mean, those are a lot of the things. And obviously, Evanston is a great area. And obviously, you're right on the water. And now maybe it's not always 70 degrees because we do live in Chicago, but it's still, it's still a good view. You're by a nice body of water, which is kind of always what I've wanted to be by, regardless of where the location was. So.
Mm-hmm. So what do you look forward to most about making this transition to college? You're leaving in January. You're going to graduate early and leave for school. What are you looking forward to most? It better not be about being away from me. Don't say that. If so, just edit that part out.
I don't know. I just feel like growing up and thinking about college when I was younger was always like you never think you get there, but now that it's finally around the corner, it just kind of seems cool and like the great experience. And like D1 football growing up, always watching people on TV, and you're just like, man, you want to be there. So it's going to be really satisfying knowing I'm there, and I'm obviously have a lot more work to do until that point and when I get to that point. But it's just going to be it's going to be really nice being in college and feeling like
We're having a little technical difficulties. Let's see if the young gentleman can get back online and get back in here. We're on the same internet, so I'm going to assume there's not an internet connection. Maybe his computer died. He's got to plug it back in. So we're going to see it there. And he's back. Plug your computer in, my man.
Keep it going. It's not computer.
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. We're on the same Wi-Fi, buddy. So it's hard to say that. Anyway, so we're saying, you're looking forward to just kind of going out there and seeing yourself transition. I want to finish that for you.
Like especially at Northwestern, like internships, like that's like real world stuff. Like I'm not relying on other people, I guess. I finally get to grow up and put big boy pants on. So I'm looking forward to that, and just it's crazy that it's just around the corner that I'm gonna be basically an adult here soon. So.
I know you've turned recruiter, and now you're trying to bring in other guys with you. Why should everybody come and join the Cats? Why should somebody else? You're the first person to commit to the Wildcats this year. Why should people come join you?
I mean, I think Northwestern speaks for itself. You saw what they did last season, and I mean, 2 out of the last 3 years they've been in the Big Ten championship, and unfortunately they haven't won it. But that just means they need the pieces. So I just think that's what I preach to guys, and they know what they're getting at Northwestern. It's genuine recruiting. They're not recruiting you just to recruit you. They actually want you on their team. And everyone I've talked to knows that the people that are being recruited by the coaches are genuine about it, and they're not just throwing a stupid sales pitch at you about their school. And like, they're not just recruiting you based on the facilities or the gear you'll get. Like, you're going to get a really good experience at Northwestern, academically and athletically. And you're going to be surrounded with great people who want to see you do well. So.
No doubt. Well, what advice do you give to kids right now who maybe there's an 8th grader right now watching this video, maybe someone's dad pull them in here and say, let's listen to see what this guy's got to say. When it comes down to, academic approach, training approach, football approach, talk to the kids out there and what they should be doing and thinking about if they want to get to the next level.
Honestly, as cliche as it sounds, I'd just say work hard in the classroom and when it comes to training and stuff. Working hard is never going to put you at a disadvantage, and the harder you work, the better, the more things will come to you. And I think that's my biggest lesson I've learned. I've had situations where I've worked hard for something and it's paid off, and I've had situations where I haven't worked hard for something and it hasn't paid off. So I feel like that's the biggest thing when it comes to working, when it comes to that. And obviously not everything's going to go your way. You're going to have adversity that hits you with certain things, but like nothing can stop you from working hard. That's all you and your mentality. So
that's fantastic. Well, I'm proud of you. Happy the man you've come to be. Obviously, I tell you every day I love you. I'm glad to see that we could have this come out and be a special guest on this show. I look forward to having you on the show after your first Big Ten touchdown, first Big Ten win, first something like that. Maybe you'll help me recruit, get your pops on a couple of your players, come out there and check us out and see what's going on, man. All right?
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Peace.